So, fondling in bed. After 20 years of marriage, a couple was lying in bed one evening when the wife felt her husband begin to fondle her in ways he hadn't in quite some time. It almost tickled as his fingers started at her neck and then began moving down past the small of her back. He then caressed her shoulders and neck, slowly worked his hand down over her breast, stopping just over her lower stomach. He then proceeded to place his hand on her left inner arm, caressed past the side of her breast again, working down her side, passed gently over her buttock and down her leg to her calf. Then he proceeded up her inner thigh, stopping just at the uppermost portion of her leg. He continued in the same manner on her right side, then suddenly stopped, rolled over and started to watch the TV. As she had become quite aroused by this caressing, she asked in a loving voice, "That was wonderful. Why did you stop?" He said, "I found the remote." Now obviously I've had a bit of a break and nothing seems to have happened in the news. Apart from the usual, oh, we're not leaving on the 29th now after all, which for those that have been following my videos know I've been saying that we're not leaving at all along. They just keep kicking the can down the road to the point where we we just capitulate and let them keep us in the EU, even though we voted to leave. And of course those 10,000 troops from 13 different countries are just here for an exercise, nothing to do with the fact that they think the population might realise the treason and betrayal that's going on in Parliament. Nothing to do with that at all. No, not at all. And of course, because we haven't left now, they can impart Section 222 of the Lisbon Treaty, which is asking for the European Army or European whatever name they want to give it, can come and stop us from saying, hey, we voted to leave and you're keeping us in. You're committing treason. So, yeah, anyway, as back. And we'll start with this is, I've been doing a lot of reading into this as well because, of course, this is a subject close to my heart that I've been working on with others for many years now, as you can see. Jon Collins resigns. Now is the time for change in Nottingham. Jon Collins has announced he will stand down as the leader of Nottingham City Council today. Former political and deputy editor of the Nottingham Post, Charles Walker, the journalist who knew Councillor Collins best, writes about what life was really like under his dictatorship. Jon Collins, the leader of the City Council, of course, is stepping down. Basically what he's doing is abandoning ship. He knows that the inquiry is coming to its determination shortly, in a few months' time, and he's doing a runner before he gets blamed for it. Just because he's resigning and trying to walk away doesn't mean he's going to get away. We all know his involvement has been crucial in protecting the paedophiles of Nottingham, and therefore he at some point in the future will have to suffer and pay for his crimes. He may think he's walking away now, but we have long memories. We know how we had to fight to get you to release stuff, and how you still to this day are protecting paedophiles. For instance, Mickey Summers' rapist, you're still to this very day protecting. Now, of course, he's doing a runner, like I said, because of the child abuse inquiry, and there will be, I wouldn't be surprised to see others doing a tactical runaway. One being the CEO in Courier, the other being the head of Children's Services, Alison Michalska, who was only brought here to cover up and protect the paedophiles in the Nottingham City Council, County Council. Let's face it, at the end of the day, you just look at Parliament, all corrupt. You look at your councils, absolutely totally corrupt. And of course they only get away with it because they are in a strategic partnership with the police, who don't investigate any complaints made against the council. So it's all a bought and paid for circus, But this is obviously a good point because he's doing a runner. Let's just read on and see what bullshit he's going to come up with, shall we? An excellent election general. He organised and energised Nottingham. Labour exploiting robust canvass record to turn out the vote time after time. The chaotic Tories and the mostly hapless Liberal Democrats were pushed to the edge of extinction in his adopted city. You see, he's not even from Nottingham. At the same time, Collins ruled his party ruthlessly, quickly undermining threats, hunting moles and securing allies with the raft of special responsibility allowances available to the council leaders in an executive system. These lot think they're executive. Meanwhile, he was backed up by his old friends Hassan Hamid and former council leader John Taylor and Graham Chapman, all corrupt, of course, who attempted to take the edges off a man who was quick to anger and long to sulk. So we finally got rid of the corrupt leader Jon Collins, but just won't make any difference because he'll just put another corrupt guy in place or girl, and the same shit will continue until we end every single council and every single government. We'll start off by ending our government and councils, and the rest of the world, they'll be doing the same thing, because the whole planet has become aware of the utter, total corruption, and, well, the end is coming. Saturday, huge London protest demanding a Brexit vote could be the biggest in British history. Thousands of people across London are set to march on Westminster on the 23rd of this month to take part in what will be the largest political demonstration in British history. The Put It to the People march, we call on Parliament to give London and Britain's voters the right to have a crucial vote to say yes or no to whatever deal MPs finally come up with on Brexit. Totally pointless, because of course you're begging, please let us have a vote on what you decide, because if we don't like what you want, we don't want you to do that. And to which the MPs went, yeah, right, we're in charge here, we do what we like, you're our slaves, don't forget that. So there's a march coming up. EU to reportedly reject UK May's request for Brexit delay. UK Prime Minister Theresa May plans to delay Brexit by 3 months, and then when we get there it'll be further, you mark my words. And a new withdrawal date has been set up no later than 22nd of May, The Guardian reported on Thursday. That'll be changing very shortly. Mrs May is currently seeking an extension to Article 50 to 30th of June with EU officials in Brussels so that she can urge MPs to pass the required betrayal, but only if MPs back her Brexit plan and utter total betrayal of the British people. But according to sources at an EU ambassadors meeting on late Wednesday, the EU has come to the consensus that the UK should leave the bloc no later than 23rd of May. No, we should be leaving on the 29th of March, but we've been stabbed in the back by our own government yet again. Just before European elections, some member states favoured a long period and some a shorter, but agreed that 22 May would be the maximum amount of time permitted until we get to the 22nd of May, in which case we'll just kick it down the road a bit further, because there's no way we're going to be allowed to leave until we take this country back from the evil criminal paedophiles that are running it. It's becoming blatantly obvious to even those that are most blinded and sat there watching the goggle box all day long that there's something going on, and that is there's a consciousness change that I was reading recently that the Schumann resonance of the planet, which normally was about 7.83, last year it rose massively. It was the biggest increase ever. It rose to 35 on the scale, but recently, this year in fact, this month in fact, it rose to the highest ever recorded of 350. So that is turning things on and off. We may suddenly start getting abilities that have been kept away from us. We may start getting them back, like telepathy, being able to see when someone's lying to you. That'll be the end for Parliament, won't it? And the courts and the councils and the police. But I digress. But just be aware that things are changing. Time to wake everyone up that is still sleeping, if you can. If you can't, just plant a seed and walk away. Don't try too hard. If they're interested, give them a little bit more. Let them then go and do the digging themselves, because they'll think they've done it. Revealed 100 billion of UK properties secretly owned by anonymous companies registered in tax havens. These properties could literally be owned by anyone, dictator, drug lord or terror group. So they're talking about government then. Britain, where the world comes to wash their dirty money. Scientists now claim and confirm cancer is a man-made disease. Researchers from the University of Manchester, United Kingdom, have concluded that cancer is purely modern man-made disease. In the United Kingdom alone, cancer claims more than 150,000 lives each year. Statistics also show that about 1 in 3 people in the United Kingdom is likely to get cancer, unless you get some cannabis oil, you start eating organic food, you get the Bob Beck device, you get some sodium bicarbonate, aluminium free, you get some flaxseed oil, you get these are all cures mixed with them. But don't just do it yourself, go and check it out. I've talked about it in other videos. There are loads of cures. Sodium bicarbonate is probably the easiest. It raises your pH, and cancer cannot survive in a what our pH should be around about 7.8, I think it is. If you can keep it there or even a little bit above, cancer can't survive, it dies. Stop taking sugar in everything. Cancer feeds on sugar. One of the ways you can use sodium bicarbonate is mix it with maple syrup. I think it's 2 to 1, sodium bicarb to 1 maple syrup. If you've got any capsules, you can fill a capsule up and have one or 2, 3 times a day. It will raise your pH. Make sure you check your pH though. You don't want it going too high, because that can be as bad as being too low. Aim for around 7.8, cancer won't come. Again, if it's already there, it can destroy it, slow it down. Same with cannabis. There are loads of ways to cure cancer. And this is why the government are terrified, because when the general population realises that the government have known, due to their own paperwork, since 1974, that cannabis oil cures cancer, and they've allowed 150,000 men, women and children to die each year because it's part of the depopulation plan, the public may not be so happy with them. Just a guess. So basically, cancer's man-made, as we've all known all along, just like AIDS was manufactured in a laboratory, and that's been admitted now. Now, New Mexico priest is charged with raping an 8-year-old girl until she vomited and then made her clean it up during attack nearly 30 years ago. Sabine Griego, 81, faces rape charges for assault which allegedly took place nearly 30 years ago. Well, that's nothing really, because in Nottingham by itself we have the raping of children now provable going back to 1953. Authorities allege Griego assaulted an 8-year-old girl who was an altar server at a New Mexico Catholic school. Police say Griego raped the girl on a number of occasions, which included various beatings that resulted in a broken nose. Griego has been implicated in at least 8 cases that were closed by authorities. Police say they have evidence that the Archdiocese of Santa Fe knew about the alleged rape of at least 15 years. Griego is believed to have raped more than 30 children over the course of decades. A former priest raped an 8-year-old girl nearly 30 years ago to the point where she vomited, only to then force her to clean up the mess, it has been alleged. And then the rest of it's just the same as what's been going on there. So, did you stop watching Michael Jackson because of an HBO documentary? Well, I've got some bad news for you if you believe in the church. And it's not just the Catholic Church, by the way. France's Jewish elite demand yellow vest protests to be shut down. The President today, 19th of February, had an interview with Francis Calafit, President of the Representative Council of Jewish Organisations of France. There should be no organisations anywhere. There should be no Friends of Israel anywhere. It should be made unlawful, because giving yourself to a foreign power is tantamount to treason. This should be banned in every country, this type of thing. The main Jewish ethno-active organisation in France. All major French politicians are expected to attend its dinners and pay court to it, except those on the Front National, now renamed La Ressemblance Nationale, who, being defenders of French interests, are systematically excluded. You see, if you're actually for your own country, they don't want you there. So don't forget, we've got Conservative Friends of Israel, Labour Friends of Israel, Lib Dem Friends of Israel. The Zionists control and run every government on the planet. They are all Zionist sympathisers at best and Zionists at worst. That's just how it is. And if no one's going to do anything about it, the shit's going to get worse. As I was saying, Ontario passes rule allowing government to seize children from parents who oppose gender transition. Yeah, you heard that right. If you don't want your child to know about this perverted thing, then they'll come and steal your kids off you. Can you see that we're run by satanic Zionists now? If not, you're in for a big surprise. Canada's Ontario province has passed legislation that allows the government to seize children from families that refuse to accept their child's chosen gender identity or gender expression. The so-called Supporting Children, Youth and Family Act of 2017, or Bill 89, was approved by a vote of 63 to 23. See? Full of paedophiles. Every government, council, everyone, full of them, according to the Christian Times. It requires child protection, foster adoption services providers and judges to take into account and respect a child's race, ancestry, place of origin, colour, ethnic origin, citizenship, family diversity, disability, creed, sex, sexual orientation, gender identity, and it's just more gender bullshit. You know, the LBGT crap. They're targeting the kids. The kids don't know. The kids are all over the place anyway, while the kids, and the last thing they need is being taught this sort of utter bullshit. At the end of the day, that's all it is. And if you think it's great, you've sadly been mistaken and you're brainwashed. Grieving family fined £200 after funeral overran by 14 seconds by a council. Have you not had enough of these councils yet? I had enough. Well, always. A grieving family have been fined £200 because the funeral they attended overran by 14 seconds. Crematorium bosses had been accused of having no humanitarian or sympathy after being issued the fine. The council believe the fine is justified despite being down to a mourner who was on walking sticks and struggling to walk, taking 14 seconds too long to leave the building. It's a dictatorship. It's 14 seconds that has now cost the family £200. North East Lincolnshire Council, who runs the building, admits they give out penalties for any service which runs over its allocated slot, even if that is just 14 seconds. If you need any more evidence, we need rid of councils, and we need to lock up all leaders, CEOs, all former leaders and CEOs after a trial, and it's of course comes out how dirty and filthy and pedo-protecting they've been. Then I think the rest of their life in jail should suffice. In open prison, of course, not in these purpose-built pedo jails they've got, because they know this shit's coming. 7 benefits assessors jailed over 1 million housing benefit fraud. The assessors created false housing benefit claims over a period of 6 years. What you can get from this, This just shows we all know who the real crooks are. They are either in the government or working for the government, picked probably specifically by certain MPs. 7 benefit assessors have been sentenced to prison for a total of 17 years for their roles in housing benefit fraud, which saw more than 1 million stolen from 3 councils in London. The assessors worked in the local authorities of Lambeth, Kingston and Barking and Dagenham, creating a false housing benefit claims over a period of 6 years and sending the funds to accounts they controlled. Lambeth employee Menelik Cowan, one of the driving forces of the fraud, and 6 others denied fraud but were convicted by a jury after a 3-month trial at Southwark Crown Court. They were sentenced today, 18th of March. You see, they're stealing from us every chance they can, while sanctioning our most poor and ill. The corruption is widespread. This country is the most corrupt country in the world. More corrupt than Russia, more corrupt than China. But that can't be true, Mark, you say. With Russia, with China, with all the other ones, you know what you're getting. This lot, they try to pretend we're a democracy, pretend they're for the betterment of us, when in actual fact they're just knifing us in the back and twisting it, as can be evidenced by May and her betrayal and treason, high treason of the British public. Greenwich Council spending increasing sums on temporary agency staff. Now, you might think that's not a big deal. However, you may not realise how these temporary staffing exercises work. Usually with temporary staff, they're working for an employment agency who get double what a normal man or woman would get to do that job, because they get their cut on top of it. So if someone's on £10 an hour, they get £10 an hour. So it's actually costing the council £20 an hour for a job that someone could do for £10 an hour. But because they're friends with the employment agency and they get backhanders, kickbacks from them, this is the sort of shit that goes on. Mouth-watering sums are being shelled out to hundreds of temporary workers at Greenwich Council. The cost of agency staff and consultants has shot up in the last year, sparking concerns over how temporary roles are being filled with workers not on the council's books. Agency staff are brought in to fill positions, the majority of which are in children and adult services and housing, to make sure the council can deliver services. In quarter three of last year, the council spent 5.3 million on 327 workers, up on the figure from the same period of the year before, which showed 4.7 million being spent on 294 employees. At a security meeting this week, Woolwich Riverside councillor Jon Collins said the sums were mouth-watering. But hey, we're a dictatorship and we do whatever we like. What are you going to do about it? You're going to find out shortly. The Guardian. May, don't blame me for Brexit crisis, blame MPs. I'm just trying to betray you and stab you all in the back and knife you at the same time. Defiant PM tells public, I am on your side as infuriated backbenchers call on her to resign. Yes, I'm on your side, but I'm trying to betray and commit high treason against the whole of the nation. But you should back my treason because, hey, I'm a Zionist lover. I'm a Zionist sympathiser, or I'm a Zionist. I'm not prepared to delay Brexit any further than 30th of June. I bet you £1 billion it gets delayed past the 30th of June. Farage party leader quits over racist tweets. Women's football scores 10 million in first full league sponsorship. Mirror. 71 million lotto winner. I'll spend my fortune on wine and women and waste the rest. Got no problem with that. May deluded defiance. It's not my fault. Arrogant PM refuses to take any responsibility for a Brexit betrayal. It's not my fault. I'm doing as my overlords say. Those that tell me what to do because I'm just the face and you think I'm in charge when in actual fact I'm just a puppet on a string. The scum. 71 Mill lotto to win and he's single. It won't be for long. Parasite alert. Kate's mum firm is in crisis. Oh dear. May's plea to sort Brexit. Power to the people. Furious PM. I'm on your side, not warning MPs. You were anything but on our side, you treasonous traitor. Aye. The 71 million lotto winner grassroots plot to upset up to 50 Tory Remainers. Brexit blame game. Prime Minister accuses Parliament of thwarting the people and says applying for Brexit extension is a matter of great personal regret. Except it was planned all along. Remain and Leave supporting MPs condemn toxic televised address of nation as pressure builds on May to quit this summer. EU admits short delay is possible provided Commons back PM. In other words, back her betrayal and we'll allow the extension. Because once we've already got our claws into you and we ain't letting you go. So back the betrayal and treason by this one. And yeah, we'll agree to an extension as long as we keep control of you. Irish Premier urges Brussels to help UK avoid accidental no-deal Brexit. Accidental, my arse. I'm a bit of an idiot who gets in the way. Ralph Fiennes. Britain is getting happier. Megan Bolton Hansen, Love Island star on the pressure to look perfect. The women who can smell Parkinson's helps hunt for a test. Express 71 lotto winner new hoped in fight to win wonder drug deal. Oh dear, more pharmaceutical shit. In a highly personal appeal to the public, May expresses great regret over failure to deliver Brexit on time and warns bickering MPs to get on with it. Allow me to betray the people because that's what I must do. PM tells tired Britain, I'm on your side, and whenever an MP's mouth is moving, she's lying, so we know what that means, don't we? Of course we do. Utter treason and betrayal. Daily Fail. My 22 rules for a marvellous marriage. Jon Collins. May in dramatic TV plea to salvage Brexit betrayal. She warns MPs Britain's had enough of the Parliament. Corbyn flounces out of crunch talks. And EU's latest ultimatum means we're on a no-deal knife edge. Oh no, more smoke and mirrors. We're on that knife edge we've been on forever because of a no deal. Sort of bollocks. The Telegraph. Michael Jackson, will his ex-fixer reveal more secrets? For money, of course, that's all it's about. May on bended knee to the EU. Eurosceptics warn of humiliation as PM begs for more time with little indication her deal can pass. Betrayal can pass. Goodwin runs out of as Brussels lets nature take its course. Truancy behind rising knife attacks. Bullshit. Police question second woman in trans row. Munich scream has lost its voice. River carried bodies in stricken Mozambique. Metro. Brexit talk shame Britain, say 90%. UK's approach considered a national embarrassment. Brussels back short delay if MPs approve May's deal. We'll back the delay as long as you back her betrayal of the nation to the EU, the dictatorship that is the EU. Star. Or waste of paper. 71 lotto winner. I've not become more attractive overnight, but my wallet has. Wow. FT. May pleads with rival parties to save my betrayal of the British people and the men and women and children as EU issues ultimatum. Delay depends on approval. We'll allow you to delay as long as you sell the country down the Swanee, knife them in the back on the way, then we'll allow you a delay. But that was the plan all along, says May. Third vote sought next week. Failure points to no deal exit. Brussels ends Google case with 1.5 billion penalty for blocking competitors' ads. Private sector enlisted it to help police spot extremists. Simply more privatisation of the police. Not that they're fit for purpose in the first place, they are just the enforcement arm of the criminals in Parliament.